Welcome to What's in the Box, episodes of horror with Donna and Eric. I'm Donna,
And I'm Eric.
and today we are going to be discussing Jack Ketchum's Off Season. This is my first time reading this book or any book by Ketchum. Is this your first time, or is this a reread of this
It's a
for you?
reread.
Okay.
I read it many, many, many years ago, and I want to make sure we read the same book.
Yes, so you've got the director's uncut.
Yeah,
Okay, so that
because
was one of my questions I was going to ask you.
I was going to get worried because if you didn't read this one, we were going to have a different experience.
Yes. So if you read it years ago, um, did you notice the the things that had been censored, or has it been too long since you read it
No, when I
previously?
read it years ago, I had the directors, so
Oh,
I
okay.
wasn't that far back because it came out in the 80s.
Okay, I didn't
So
realize that you had that edition came out that long ago.
this was my introduction to him.
Okay, okay.
And so Leisure put it out about the same time Keene was getting put out and Gonzalez was being put out and Layman. In fact, the reason I read Ketchum was because of Layman. I
Okay.
kind of naturally gravitated towards it.
Okay.
But those Edward Lee, Ketchum, and Layman are often kind of made into a trinity,
Yeah. Okay.
especially with the leisure stuff. So, they're like the grandfathers.
Yeah.
So, what's your
Um,
thought?
well, I just want to warn people there will be spoilers.
Oh, many
Um,
spoilers.
many spoilers. So, did you read the afterword?
Yes,
Okay,
it's very interesting.
it is very interesting, and I don't usually read afterwards, but I just, for whatever reason, I just read it, and I was like, this is fascinating. He went through and explained when it first got bought by a publisher, all the things he had to change, um, the stuff that he had to cut out or reword, like instead of making the head for in the soup, it was just other pieces of meat or something like
Yeah,
that.
which really takes away from it too.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
then of course Nick survives in
which
the
makes no
censored
sense.
version. Yeah, it makes
Yeah, it
no
makes no
sense.
sense.
Yeah.
Um, and we can talk about that when we get to the end too, but it just shows you how freeing self-publishing has got to the point
Yeah.
because the stuff that was censored is pretty much all the stuff that makes today's extreme authors popular, I think,
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
the willingness to go that extra mile and if you were to negate some of that, if you were to soften it. And the so funny is when you read what he says, it's they told him that the general public would need it softer, would need it
Hmm.
where more people survived and there's a happy ending and there's all this
Or a
nonsense.
potential happy ending.
Yes,
Yeah.
because that's what people want. That's what the crowd wants. And
Yeah.
he was promised that this book was going to make him a superstar.
Hmm.
Like this was he was on the track to be Stephen King.
Yep.
This is the book that was going to do it. And then of course what happens? What happens with everything that's great? Movies, everything. The guys in charge start fiddling with it because they're worried that somebody's going to get
Hmm.
offended and they make it just 100 times worse. And then, of course, it doesn't do well. And then what do they take from it? They don't take, oh, we shouldn't have messed with it. Their thought was, oh, we made a mistake signing this guy.
Yeah.
This is the mistake is with the author. We shouldn't have tried to even publish this.
Yeah.
That's the mistake. They never learned that the mistake is that you fiddled with it.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's amazing when you read that stuff. And what's even crazier is that so this is the director's cut. This is the stuff that he cut the second time.
Hmm.
The first one was even worse, and we don't know what that is because he threw it away.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm
He
like,
threw it
this
away.
is this is balls to the wall crazy. And you're telling me there's something even more out that was out there, and he didn't get a chance to share it, because he changed it. He got so many notes, he basically had to rewrite it.
Yep.
And then um and I'd love that would have been amazing to be able to go back and have like that super director's cut or whatever, however you want to word it.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of Totem by Morel.
Yep.
Remember? Because they made him completely change it and write in a love interest and have all this craziness. And it wasn't until he was a big, popular author that he was able to go back. And thank God he kept his original.
Yeah.
so that we got the real book. It's a really good read, but it's about the same time. So we have Morel doing that, we have him doing this, and Ketchum doing this, and then this is about the same time we get the Cellar with Layman. So this, 80, 81, 82, that kind of time frame. Maybe late 70s, 79. I can't remember when Totem came out. Um, but I mean, man, I couldn't imagine finding these books on the shelves like this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's
I
definitely
kind of wish I would
crazy.
have been. I'd like to get a copy of the original just to read it, just to see all the weak points that he points out.
Yeah. And I thought about that briefly, but not really that big of a fan of this
Oh, you
book.
didn't like the book?
I, I can't say that I didn't like it. The last like 70 pages was amazing. And it's like a 300-page book.
Hmm.
Um, the last 70 pages, I was like, yes, this is really cool. Like the first 230 pages, uh, uh, no, I couldn't. And for those who don't know the story, we should have said the premise. Basically, this woman, Carla, she rents a house in the off season in Maine. And then her sister and her friend, her ex-boyfriend and his girlfriend and the sister's boyfriend come up and then there's like cannibals. Um, but the characters were just so cardboard to me.
It's funny though. I wonder were they cardboard in 1980?
Yeah,
Because you're talking, Carla was this was a liberated woman, sexual
yeah,
identity, but that in the 1980, that was
a
like a
big
new
deal.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I look at, and then you got the brain dead actor who's just really pretty. I thought
yeah,
that was kind of funny because he really was a waste of space. But yeah, no, I get it. The characters, some of them are annoying. I mean,
yeah.
Laura's annoying. But
Carla. Oh my God, I'm glad she's the first that got killed.
well, yeah, but think of that too. That's kind of ahead of its time. She's the main character,
Yeah,
and she is dead halfway through, a little more than halfway through.
yeah,
So, um, that right there would have been like I'm shocked they didn't try and make him rewrite that part
yeah,
because
yeah.
she's the hero, especially because she is this new age woman. You know what I mean? She's
A
definitely a final
strong.
girl,
Yeah, she's
and so
definitely the I don't need a man. It's just nice to have one around every once in a
yeah, she's
while.
basically yeah. All she
And
she just
I couldn't get a grasp. I think she was either an editor or an author.
she was an editor that wants to be an author.
Okay, okay.
She's gonna make some money editing this book she was working on so that she could turn around and put out something. Although she wasn't like I got the vibe that she was like nonfiction. Like she isn't trying to write the next great American novel. She was more
Yeah,
interested in the other stuff. But man, I get what you're saying though. There's a lot of setup and you're in
yeah,
these characters' heads for a while, and then all of a sudden it's just fucking roller coaster. Excuse
yeah,
the language, but I mean it really is wild.
yeah,
I forgot how good um, he is, Ketchum, with the way he set everything up, everything he does, and how unflinching he was about just everything he did.
yeah.
But
I was,
again, a lot of this stuff is old hat if you're an
hmm
extreme indie horror reader,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's a problem.
yeah. I don't know. It was a struggle for me to get through the like first three quarters of the book.
I get it.
Um,
Yeah, I
it
get it,
was just,
especially for you because you blow through everything. So,
yeah.
so there's
And
obviously something there that didn't click.
I would have liked more um action with the cannibals because you see them bits and pieces. Like she's at the house and she finds the bones in the attic. And then, the scene where the guy is watching her through the window before all of her friends get there. Um, so you get little bits and pieces, and I think that's part of the buildup to what
Hmm.
happened. So I get it. It's just I don't know, I would have liked it starts off with that one lady who ends up jumping off the cliff or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
that gave us a taste of it to let you know that
yeah,
there's crazy kids out there doing this.
yeah. I would
Um,
have liked like more extra victims, just to get more of that cannibal action. Because when the cannibals came, like once they started attacking the house and they got Carla, um,
it doesn't stop at that
it
point.
it, it doesn't stop. Um,
And as much as I credit Layman with my first one, Shadow Within, reading this, I saw some similarities because I have a slow build up to get to the point where you actually have, and then
Yeah.
it's just all action. And I thought, I wonder if that's where that came from. Although
Yeah.
Layman does that a couple times too. So, but I definitely need to tip my hat to Ketchum um, when I'm talking about some of this stuff because there are a lot of things in there that I thought, well, I feel this vibe. This is vibing with something I've done, or at least I enjoyed it enough that I could see how I might have paid homage to it in a way. But I also get that the slow build up, and if you don't like the characters, then yeah, you're kind of like, when can we get to the point where they all die?
Yeah.
Uh, Now, but can you imagine though if we had read the first version and we're like, oh, some of these people don't die, some of these people get totally different
Yeah.
kills and deaths, and then you're kind of I think you would be disappointed at the end. Um,
Yeah.
although
Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing worse to me than the happy ending in a situation that doesn't seem like it could have been a happy ending.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And I was like totally annoyed with um when I think this is right as they're getting ready to make a run for the cars. Um, and Margie goes up to get Laura dressed because Laura's kind of catatonic a little bit. And like in the midst of this, she just saw her sister get strung up, and like the guy is dead in the living room, and blood's everywhere, and then she stops. Huh, Laura's got a pretty nice body. Like, like what?
yeah, yeah. No, I get that.
And even when they're in the cave or something, she like makes a comment about like an internal comment about Laura's breasts. I'm like, you're in a cage in a cave surrounded by cannibals and you're like admiring your friend or not even your
Well, they just
friend.
stripped her down because they're about to start skinning her, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah,
Well, he was about to take advantage of her and then do whatever he was going to do. But by that point, he got annoyed with her. So,
yeah,
which I thought was a funny reaction. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is, I mean, I think it just plays into that early 80s mentality because everything in
yeah,
the early 80s was all about that TNA
yeah,
and stuff. So I just,
yeah.
um,
I was like, that would not be something that I would even be thinking about
yeah,
in that
once the
situation.
cannibals are there, once people are dying, then yes, you would think. Although in a way, I wonder if she wasn't just thinking about it simply because it was on display in front of her and it was about to happen, and she was worried that she was next.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, no, it does stick out a little bit. As odd. There was another thing that I thought, oh, the fact that the main villain, the red shirt kid, who's the oldest, or I guess he's the oldest boy, he is hunting Dave, who is the only other survivor,
Nick.
Nick, and and somehow he doesn't find him, and then is allowed to be stalked by him all the way back to the
Yeah.
cage. And he did us the solid of actually explaining it later a little bit. And they gave us inside his head. And he was so upset about everything going wrong that he didn't pay attention to the guy following him. But still, that was kind of weak because we're talking about people that live in the wilderness that are
Hmm.
trained through instinct of how to hunt and
Yeah.
know their surroundings and recognize there's people around. And he somehow walked by him hiding in the woods and then let him follow him back. I thought that was a little far fetched, but we
Yeah.
are. I mean, we're talking about a book about cannibals, so you got to give them a little leeway.
Right,
But
right.
yeah, so
And I
those are
would
our
have,
two. Those are probably our two complaints. Or
yeah.
you have a few more, but
Well, I was just gonna say I would have liked more background as well because you kind of get like a little hint of it. I guess there was a family living in a lighthouse and there was a big storm and they got trapped and one of the daughters went missing. Um, so it's like what?
so then you get
Okay,
the history of the daughter as she gets older stealing children and stuff, I guess,
yeah,
to the point that they start producing their own children.
yeah, yeah,
So then you have a lineage of basically inbred hill people from Maine that eat other humans because that tastes better than just whatever that they're
Yeah.
finding.
Yeah.
And I thought that was crazy too. They're making sausage out of people. They're
Yeah.
stew and soup, and the guy's explaining it. And that was one of his complaints in the afterward was that they were trying to take the recipes away from him and not let him
Yeah.
talk about stuff. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, no, it's very intense and stuff. But again, you get look through the lens of the '80s. This is like the seller. It's like, oh my God. But then we read it today and we're like, oh, this is like PG-13,
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
soft R, we've seen
Yeah.
much worse. But then you think about all the things that we're reading now, we're like, well, how much of that was been influenced by this stuff? And so then, it's all secular, it's all coming back. But it's yeah, it's definitely soft when you think about some of the stuff that we've read over the last 5 years or whatever.
Yeah. And the one thing I did like, well, there are a few things I did like, um, is even though the cops, Shearing and Peters, I think was the chief, um,
Yeah,
and his soon to be successor, Shearing, I like how they like talked about the people that had gone missing in their area, and they're like, well, we're small, so we shouldn't have this high of a percentage of missing people as opposed to like a bigger city.
right,
And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's pretty smart because they play them out to be like dumb hillbilly cops. But then
right,
they have this like, hey, these percentages don't add up. Like, why is our missing person percentage so high? Um, as opposed to bigger cities. And of course, this is an off-season place, so at this time of year that the story takes place, it's just the townies there. So,
right.
um,
And so if
yeah,
that girl in the very beginning doesn't get away by jumping off a cliff into the water, then they probably just stop, chalk it up to another weird disappearance. And they've researched it, but they haven't had anything to go on. So finding
yeah.
the lady and the evidence of damage on her allowed them to broaden their minds, which was nice to see, like you
It was
said.
so gross the way they described that the crabs had started to eat her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, can you
Yeah, I mean,
imagine?
yeah, that would be terrible.
Yeah, yeah. And I
And
also really like the format of the book. Instead of having chapter one, two, three, four, you have whatever the date was, 6 p.m. And
yeah,
then, so it was kind of like you're watching the clock ticking as you're reading. So I really like that format. I like the way that was done.
yeah, it added to the flow and the
The,
suspense because
the
you could see
tension,
how it's
yeah.
jumping and stuff. And
And
uh,
sometimes there would be like an hour or so in between. But sometimes it would be like this chapter is like 4:01 a.m. and this chapter is like 4:03 a.m. So it's only like, kind of happening at the same time, you
yeah,
know.
no, I think hands down this, and now that I've read it again, I definitely needs to be, you know, it needs to be praised for leading the way. I
Yeah.
mean it. I think it opened doors for a lot of people that read
Yeah.
this. They probably the light clicked on, like I say with Layman when I read him the first time. Which was about the same time. I read a couple Laymans, and I think I found Ketchum and the Ed Lee all about the same time because Leisure was putting everything out, and so um, I think a lot of people that jumped into it in the early 2000s probably had the same kind of experience as maybe somebody, maybe not though, because he rewrote some of it. But people that read it in the '80s would
Yeah.
have had. Well, and that's the other thing though. If you read that thing, they by the time they went to release it, they wanted it buried, so they weren't even pushing it. Some of the bookstores didn't have it, so
Mm.
it was probably in one of those books that people talked about but nobody read.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you had to go find it kind of thing. And then he, obviously wrote other books, and The Girl Next Door did really well, I think. And I'm curious. I haven't read She Waits, but then to have him in the afterward say that he hates the last paragraph, I'm like, well, now I got to go read this stupid book to see what's wrong with the paragraph.
Yeah.
And Red's another one that's pretty popular. And so, and then also, I mean, that's his pen name. He writes a ton of other stuff under his real name.
Oh.
So, and I want to say his real name is in the front. In the I think it's Dallas Mayer, Mayr. I think
Huh.
I heard that before too. But yeah, I think so. It's Dallas. So I don't know if under the name Dallas, if he doesn't do, and that could be a pen name too. Who knows? But I wonder if that's where he writes his normal stuff, or whatever. That's not horror. And then Jack Ketchum is his horror, because some people do that. They feel like they
Yeah.
have to separate them or whatever. It just depends, I guess, on what the stuff is. Did you read any of this Winter Child?
No.
I didn't
Yeah.
either.
Dallas
But
William Mayer is his real
so
name.
whatever Winter Child's about, maybe it's something else. But
Huh.
um, man, I don't know. And so off season, um, the next book is Offspring, and it probably, if I remember correctly, it gives you more backstory, and it's a little more. I want to say it pretty much starts from the beginning,
Oh,
like the
okay.
action and stuff. It's a little more in your face, but
Yeah, because I noticed on Goodreads this was listed as Dead River 1, so I was like, I mean,
yeah,
I'm definitely not turned off by Ketchum's writing. I'm definitely
his
gonna
yeah, that's the other
delve
thing.
into more.
His writing style I really enjoyed. I mean, it just flowed really well. It didn't feel like a book from the 80s, It felt
Yeah,
it felt like something more today.
yeah.
And but yeah, no, so the kill scenes are awesome, super intense, but if you read anything by, Shaw or Beauregard or
Regard,
Volpe,
Volpe. Yeah,
they all have touched on things this extreme, if not
yeah,
more. So
yeah.
it's not, this isn't a book that you're going to read and be, I don't think, disgusted by. I just think if you'd like
Oh yeah, I've
this
read way
kind of,
worse.
yeah, I mean, why am I blanking on him? Genital grinder,
Yeah,
Ryan.
yeah,
Ryan is 10 times probably more aggressive.
yeah. And I liked
But
it.
what were you
I
gonna
was
say?
gonna I was gonna say, so not only is the ending part like the whole big battle, I'll call it scene, where it gets the most gruesome, but it gets emotionally disturbing as well because Peters ends up killing Nick, who's an
Yeah,
innocent man, because he's so distraught and so like fight or flight, and he's more on the fight instead of flight,
yeah,
and
he
he kills
tells the cops to shoot
just
anything.
shoot anything, and he kills the little boy, the captive little boy. So now not only has he seen these horrific things, he saw Carla charred like a barbecue up at the house, and he saw the guy in the thing, and then he saw whatever was in the cave, what happened to Laura, and
Mhm.
the guy with no penis because Margie bit it off. um but now he's got this emotional trauma of I just killed two innocent people,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and they kind of told us it was going to happen because when they searched the house, they found the pocketbooks of the women.
Mhm.
So they were looking for two women,
Yeah.
and I don't think they found anything to do with Nick in the
Yeah.
house. It wasn't until he shot him and the glasses fell off of him that he realized that maybe that wasn't part of the clan because they're not glasses people.
They wouldn't have had glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were covered in filth and skins and clothes that were rotting off their bodies, and they probably looked they probably looked like
Very,
swamp monsters is what they probably look like, which is
yeah.
weird because they're they're on the coast. And I know the water's cold and all that stuff, but you got to think that they would be more water based. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fishing, uh, crabs. I mean, why are they not hunting for that kind of stuff?
Yeah, because they were like, there was a scene with the two women where they were like tormenting the crabs. They weren't
Yeah,
like, let's collect these for food.
yeah, they're just kind of crazy people. And I get it. I mean, they're inbred crazy hill people. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, no, I thought, I don't know, it was just I thought it was a good book. So
Yeah.
it's probably one of the best ones. It's my favorite this year, I think. I'm trying to think what we read this year. We've only been doing one a month, and I think we're already behind. So
Yeah.
what have we done? We've done this, and
We did. Oh
We
gosh.
did Clive Barker's, was it Babel? No,
Cabal.
Cabal. There we go.
Cabal.
And
I'm like, why can't I think of what we did?
yeah, I don't know what
So
the other one was. I don't think it was. Was it a
it
layman?
it was a layman. Um, no, it was McCammon, Mystery Walk.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is my favorite book we read this year,
Yeah,
and maybe top three the whole time. So I really enjoyed it. So, but I get why you wouldn't at the beginning.
yeah,
And I also that I think it's funny too though, because today as a writer, when we put stuff out, a lot of times we either get the you need more character build up. I didn't care enough when the characters were murdered, or can you get to the point? There's too much character building here.
yeah,
So I think it's funny how it no matter what year anything was written, it's the
yeah,
same idea sometimes. And I think that also has to do with your character stuff. I like the fact that he didn't make all six of them likable. I like the fact that they seemed a little, like, especially for the time period, they probably seemed, like you said, a little. Well, nowadays they seem kind of tropey, but back then they probably were all kind of cutting edge characters, or at least something to them a little bit. Although Nick is kind of just the weirdest.
yeah. Because
So he
he
dated the one girl, he's pining for the sister, and then also dating
Laura.
a
Yeah,
totally another lady, so
yeah.
he can stay friends with the main character. What is it, Carl or whatever her name is,
Carla,
Carla.
Carla. Yeah,
And so he's kind of the weird one out of the bunch,
yeah,
and then ends up at the end. And that's what Ketchum was saying in his thing afterward. He was like, the people wanted them together, get together, so we need to
yeah,
leave that open as an option. But I think in real life that relationship would have lasted maybe 2 weeks.
yeah. Especially where she's all messed up.
Oh yeah,
Like
she's
the
disfigured. Every time
yeah.
you would see her, and anytime she sees herself without any clothes on, she's going to be remembered about this. And
And then to remind that she saw her sister charred like a barbecue.
yeah, I mean that was intense too. I mean the
Yeah,
fact that they grab her and they pull her out of the window after killing the her actor boyfriend. So that's how the action starts, which is really intense. Is that they're having sex, they bust through, kill him, drag her through the window, and then they string her up in a tree and basically gut her like a deer
yeah,
and drain her blood and start cooking her flesh and eating it so that they can terrorize the people in the house. Which I was like, yeah, that would work.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is
Because then
awesome.
yeah, yeah. I saw this. I'm like, ooh, advanced edition. This is
Did you
like
see
an
what he
arc.
said though in the afterward? He said this was the original cover, and then they made them take the arm off and replace it. So this
Yeah,
cover never was released unless they went back and released it later. But I'm like, this is a pretty cool cover.
yeah,
I would have been interested if I saw that just sitting on a bookshelf.
yep,
And look at that. It
yeah,
says the ultimate horror novel. They really thought this was going to be the thing that was gonna, and what I think that's crazy though, that the guy read it, thought this is it, gave it to an editor, and then him and the editor and the whoever was in charge decided last minute, oh no, we got to cut everything out that makes this thing so insane.
yeah,
It just doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
But
You
man,
can't
that's
have it both ways. You can't have the ultimate horror novel and then cut everything.
right. And it's just, but yeah, this would have been a cool cover. And I have the other cover that they said they replaced it with. I don't know what the heck this is. This is the another one of those testers that they sent out.
Yeah, because I
I
have
just thought it was
something. Yeah, I have something similar, a cover similar to this of a Laurel K. Hamilton book. It's basically like an arc
as
back in the
plain as
day.
this is. This would have got my attention because it's nothing. I'm like, but
Yeah.
if it is an arc, it looks like an arc when it's like
Hmm.
this. It almost looks like a leather notebook or something, just like
Yeah.
with the cover on it. So, but this was one of the covers they offered when I was looking them up. So, what's funny is that off season is a whole bunch of romance novels too.
Yeah.
And so I was going through them and I was like, well, this is a weird cover. And then I would like really pay attention and notice it wasn't Ketchum on there. And I go, okay, well, that makes more sense.
I like this one, the 35th
Yeah.
anniversary.
It,
This was
it
really
has,
cool.
it has, what's that guy's name? Is it JT Coons or whatever? The guy that does all the splatter punk or splatter westerns.
Yeah, yeah.
It has that vibe to it a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it really, yeah, the creep factor 100, and it gives you an idea of everything going on. I think it captures a lot of the plot points pretty well just in the cover.
Yep. This is a cool one. This is
Yeah, I thought this
cool.
was pretty cool too. I like the car at the top.
Yeah.
And then yeah, really, I mean, I wonder if this was like the pre-leisure version, maybe, maybe like, late 90s, or this could also be a special edition. I don't know, but I thought it was cool. If I saw this on, a table or a bookshelf, I definitely want to check it out.
Oh yeah.
This is the
This
one they replaced it with.
yeah,
So
this
this is when they originally released it. This is what it said: the ultimate horror novel. They put the drop of blood on it, and that was it. It's cool, but it definitely isn't. I mean, the arm was way cooler.
yeah.
And I don't like the black on black.
I don't either.
Let's make that off and season white with the blood dripping through the letters.
Hmm.
And then maybe I would be interested. Or let's get a white cover with the off season black and the blood going down.
Yeah.
But no, I don't like this. I mean, I still would check it out, but I don't. This is my least favorite other than the ARC version.
Yeah. Um,
This
this is
is
kind of
cool, but
yeah,
it's
it's
kind of
cool.
like, doesn't it feel like fan art?
Yeah. Yeah. It
So
does.
I'm thinking, like, is this a cemetery dance edition or one of those specialty, where
Yeah.
you get like 100 copies and it's signed and they're hardbacks or something.
Yeah.
But, and that's cool. The skull and the fire, all that kind of, it's, I like it. But I mean, it's on par with the blood drop one for me. I'm not like
Mm,
blown away by it. Although
yeah.
looking at it, isn't that doll kind of creepy?
Yeah. The two dolls here.
Yeah, that's kind of creepy to add it
Yeah.
into it, kind of give you that vibe of the kids. Because that's the other thing that makes the story kind of horrific, is that 80% of the cannibal tribe are children
Yep.
from the ages of probably what, 4 or 5 to like 12.
Yeah.
And they're just,
Rabid.
yeah, they're just completely crazy. So,
Yep.
um, and then of course the next cover is one we have. This
Yep.
is when they redid it, which I like this cover, but it's kind of the same as the other cover,
Yeah.
but with like Photoshop and not artwork.
Yeah.
And but I remember seeing it on the shelf thinking this looks cool. This is interesting. And what can and I want to check it out.
Yeah. I like this. I mean, oh, and I think that's yep. This is
Leisure,
the last one.
I mean, I don't know if there's a big line. I don't know if there's a lot of people that complain about Leisure or not, but their covers were spot on. They really did a great job with when they
Hmm.
started re-releasing and releasing stuff in 2000. That whatever long it was, 2000 to 2005 or 10, if they made it that long. I just I just remember going to Barnes and Noble and immediately thinking, if I saw a Leisure cover, immediately being like, I got to check this out. They did
Yeah.
such a good job with them. So
Yeah. I am. I'm sort of kind of intrigued enough to maybe want to read an earlier version to see how bad it is, like we had said before. But I think if I do, it'll be not soon.
yeah,
Um, because
I
I
get that for
definitely,
sure.
yeah, I definitely want to check out some of his other books.
Hold
I
on.
don't.
Oh, you keep talking.
Oh, I was gonna say I don't know if I want to read The Girl Next Door. Um, only because I read a true crime version of that story about
Yeah,
the real Sylvia. I forget what her last name was. Um, so I don't know if I'd be able to read a fictionalized version of it, but he's got plenty
right.
other books to read. Um, so I don't,
So there,
that's,
well, let's see if we can do it without the light there. They
oh yeah,
almost did the
Offspring.
exact same thing for Offspring.
Oh yeah.
It's almost, I mean, I wonder if that was how they planned it, but like they had the idea he's going to do the sequel and we're going to do both things, but um, it's got a better quote too. Well, does it have the same quote? The scariest guy? No. So that one, the first ours has him saying, "You're going to have nightmares forever." But this one says, "Who's the scariest guy in America?" Probably Jack Ketchum by Stephen King. So, I mean, that's pretty high praise. But yeah, no, I just wanted. Okay, so this one takes starts in 1992.
Okay.
So I think you'll enjoy. I think you'll enjoy Offspring more. So
I'm trying to see. I don't know if he has. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there's any books listed under his um other name.
there's got to be some, right? From what I
Yeah.
understand, he wrote a bunch of stuff. But I've never been, and that's on me. I've never been curious enough to go look for the other stuff.
Yeah. I'll have
Um,
to research that because I'd be interested to see what other genre.
oh
Um,
man, I think he's probably a big crime guy, don't you think? Just the way he wrote
mm,
that, it felt like
yeah,
it could have easily
thrillers.
been
Yeah.
some cop procedural kind of stuff.
Watch it be
But
like westerns.
yeah, well, they all seem to dip their toes in westerns, and it'd be funny though if it was like some sort of like like eat, pray, love kind of thing, or one of those kind of
Yeah.
go get lost in the wild and find yourself kind of books. But um, yeah, I think the problem we've had with you checking out anything that you hadn't read before is that they were written so long ago that they've been rewritten too many times, and we've seen all the stuff. So there's really nothing shocking about it. So because we've had that happened with the seller and now with this one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
now I got to go. But have you read Ed Lee? You've read some Ed Lee, right?
Not a lot. I read The Big Head,
Hmm.
and I've read The Pig House.
Yeah,
There's like a trilogy. I
yeah.
got the big omnibus. I read that.
So
Um,
we need to dig into some of his other
yeah.
the stuff, like especially the leisure stuff, because he's it's hard to explain. He's not like anything. I say Richard Lehman's unique, and I'm always like, oh, he writes what Lehman writes, and that's just what it is. And the Traveling Vampire Show is his way of saying, oh, I can do what you do, but now let me go back to what I do. Ed
Yeah.
Lee it's like bizarro Richard Lehman.
Yeah.
The stuff that he comes up with, and the ideas, and the the path he takes to get through his stories. He
Yeah.
has some that are kind of traditional, like The Messenger and Backwoods, which I really enjoyed Backwoods, but I think is probably considered one of his least popular books, or maybe because it's just not as Ed Lee as it could be. But
Yeah.
he has a series about being in hell and his
Oh
idea of
yeah,
hell.
the Infernal.
Yeah, all the
Chris,
infernal stuff, they're real crazy.
yeah, Christine Morgan wrote a an installment in that series.
Yeah, because I think it kept going, right? So,
Yeah.
but he did the first like three of them. Like
Yeah,
there's a trilogy.
I have the first one. Um, I think it's like Lake House Infernal or something like that. Infernal Brides, something like that. But I
I
know
think
I
there's
have
Imperial Brides, but yeah, there's definitely some Inferno. There's Infernal Angel, there's Inferno. There might be Infernal Lake.
the Minotaur S as well from him, and I have Header.
There's Infernal Angel. Oh, Flesh Gothic's another one that's really crazy. Um, well, yeah, maybe we need to read Flesh Gothic because now I'm thinking about something. I don't want to bring it up because I don't want to ruin anything. But yeah, there's a part in there that's pretty fun. But anyways, I get the feeling though that we're kind of, and that's going to happen because I mean when we read all the stuff from the '70s, we kind of had the same vibe. Although we were kind of
Yeah.
looking, they're more supernatural, they're more based in story, I guess. So we
Hmm.
weren't as you know let down by it. But yeah, I was a little shocked at the seller not being quite as extreme as I remember it being.
Yeah.
And this one, it's extreme when it gets there.
Yes, it's definitely extreme when it gets there.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of stuff, but you're right about some of the points about, but see, it ties it well, and that was the sister though that was so sexually forward, but um, it does stand out a little bit, and you're kind of like, yeah, that probably doesn't make sense, and then, but overall though, I think it's a great book. So this will be one where I really liked it. It'll be higher
Yeah.
on my list than yours.
Yeah, I'd say now I don't usually rate or really review books on like Goodreads and Amazon if it's like an older book and it's got like thousands of reviews, just because I don't think it matters for my review and star rating to get there. But if I had to give this a star, I honestly would give it a 3.
All right, so declaring war on Ketchum and all of his fans. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna get canceled, so
So everybody, this is the last episode of What's in the Box, and I guess we'll just ride off into the sunset.
Yeah,
No, no, I get it. Hey, three's a good rating. I don't, I can't get upset with the three.
yeah.
I mean, you could have said like 2.5 rounded up, and then we might have some problems,
Oh
but
yeah, no, I would do like a solid 3, not like
a
three and
solid
three
three.
eighths or 3 3/4. No, it's like 3,
I
like
got it.
a flat
So you could
3.
you could go either way.
Yeah,
So maybe you know what, when we do our sequel series, and we revisit all of the sequels to the books we've read, we'll have to make sure this is on here to see if you
yep,
like it more. I think you will.
yeah,
I remember it being a little more paced a little differently, which
yeah.
might be a sign of the times. I don't you I get that vibe when I look at stuff from the 80s now and the late 70s where they were almost told they had to. Although
Hmm.
some not all every book was 300-400 pages, but it felt like they were told that they needed to overdo it with explanation
Yeah,
in some of those things. And you read it and you're like, oh, you could have cut like 3 chapters out of this thing and we would have got there quicker. But um
yeah.
yeah, I get
Um,
it.
I'm
It's
definitely
okay.
not turned off. I mean, I gave McCammon another shot.
Right, right.
I wasn't really a huge fan of the seller, but I've read more layman and I really like those laymans that we've read.
Yeah.
Because they've been just wow. Like
Some of them,
totally,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm not giving up on Ketchum. I'm definitely gonna read more of his stuff. Um, so don't cancel me too hard.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny though. Because this is one that you'll see when people are like, "Oh, have you read I'm looking for extreme or whatever." This is one that does get talked about.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking not enough, but you're thinking probably just right.
yeah,
And we need to get, well, give some more stuff. I mean, if we read some of the other stuff, um, or even visit Dallas as, with his other name, and maybe that's different. Maybe it's as good or better in your case. But um, no, that's cool though. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm reading this and Agatha Christie at the same time, so it was really kind of a
Oh
weird
wow.
back and forth.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah, that is kind of weird kind
and
of thing. I got myself into a reading funk, and I ended up having like 5 books going at a time. And just like I just couldn't get into a groove, but I think I've got my groove back.
that's good.
So
And that the last 70 pages of this will get your groove back if you're into that kind of stuff. It really
yeah.
is. He knows how to write the action stuff. I mean,
Yep.
he really does get it going. When the ball starts rolling, it's going. And it's
Hmm.
almost you have to come up for air a couple
Yeah.
times. There's
It's like
just
an
so much going.
avalanche.
Yeah, there's just so much, which I really appreciated because I'm not a fan of the happy ending, and I'm definitely not a fan of the break when stuff goes. So when it goes bad, if you're fighting a tribe of cannibals, you're not going to get a chance to take a breather.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go. And he didn't give us any stupid side cuts or anything.
Yeah, because I that's another thing I liked is at the end where the women and the kids go out the back way and the cops are coming and they like run into each other. I thought there was going to be like, oh, it's going to be like this weird, like, they're almost going to like let them feel a sense of security and they're going to think that these are like victims or something.
Right.
I like how he just had the women and the kids just like attack. Like they
Right.
didn't like they stopped for a minute because they were startled because they ran into these cops, but then they just went full speed ahead. They were like tooth and nail, literally.
Yeah. And it really shows you how isolated and crazy that group, that family is, just that they don't process anything. It's either fight or flight. That is it.
Yep,
And so how animalistic they have become in
yep,
their ways. And so, and that was an interesting too, because, he'd pop you in their heads every once in a while. And I thought he did a good job with those characters too. Um,
yep.
but yeah, no, I'm excited to see, when we get to the sequels and stuff, if it holds up, and we'll try some other stuff too later.
Yeah, so if you haven't read Off Season by Jack Ketchum, it's worth a read, especially if you like cannibal stuff. Just prepare for it to be a very slow burn for the first 230 pages, in my opinion, anyways. Um, yeah, check it out and tell me how I'm wrong and how this is the best book ever in the comments.
Yeah, yeah. Good luck.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Take it easy.